Well, hello, welcome back, and happy holidays. And just like last year, we are going to be doing a holiday gift ideas for mountain bikers video. So if you've just found this video because you're shopping for a mountain biker in your family or friends circle, welcome. My name is Colin, and in this video, we are going to go through a wide variety of gift ideas for mountain bikers. Some caveats this year in particular is that I have greatly narrowed down the price point spectrum. So last year we started at, I think it was sub $2 Canadian, and we ended around $2,000 Canadian. This year, let's be honest, money's really tight for a lot of people. And so this year, the least expensive item is about $13 Canadian, and the most expensive item is, I think, regularly $539 Canadian, but it's readily available for $509 Canadian. For my American friends to the south, go ahead and deduct about 35% from that, and that's the rough exchange. Also, just like I mentioned in last year's video, I think the absolute best thing that we can do around this time of year is just spend time with one another. However, if you are the kind of person who likes to give gifts, then stay tuned because I hope to help give you some ideas here in this video today. And we're going to start right over here by our Christmas tree, and that is this. This is the Petey's Whole Shot Biofiber Tire Sealant. And what's really special about this is that this does not use any microplastics, and many of the Petey's products are, if not biodegradable, readily biodegradable, which means they will break down in the environment a lot quicker than even the standard biodegradable. It is a 90 ml packet. Now, you might be thinking, Colin, that's really quite small. Shouldn't I be considering more? Well, the really nice thing about this is if they have a go bag or something, a toolkit that they like to bring with them to the trailhead when they go on rides, this 90 ml packet is a perfect volume that it can refill one of the tires. If, however, you want to get them this in addition to something else, or maybe just go straight to a larger volume, then you can step up all the way to the 1 liter bottle that we can see here. What's really nice is if you have the smaller packet, you can use the larger 1 liter bottle to refill the smaller packet. So the 1 liter stays at home, and then I just refill the smaller packet as needs be, and I take that with me. The 1 liter volume retails for $47.99 Canadian. So next up on our list are going to be these right here, and these are the PNW Loam Grips. Now, one of the criteria that I have always held and still hold true in this video is I try to avoid anything that's going to be too personal. Grips are a personal preference, but I would go so far as to say that grips are at a low enough price point that someone can experiment with a couple of different ones. So maybe they have a pair that they like and thus are disinclined to go out and purchase another pair. Well, that's exactly what, again, one of the cornerstones of this series is that it's items that people wouldn't necessarily purchase for themselves. And thus, the PNW Loam Grips, I think, are absolutely excellent. They're very, very comfortable. They kind of have a little bit of a mushroom style here. It's a single lock-on style clamp, and then it's like a waveform on the outside. Moreover, I found them to be exceptionally vibration resistant. Now, we'll see what these are attached to a little later on in this list, but this year it was so comfortable being able to ride in Whistler with my bike, despite the fact that arguably I have grossly insufficient travel for that mountain. Yet, combination of a few factors, these grips, I believe being one of them, resulted in no excessive hand fatigue beyond what would be expected. So, they're available in 101 different colors. If you want to play it safe, just go with the black that you see here. But I think it would be an awesome opportunity to give somebody a pair of grips so that they can learn and experience and maybe discover something new that they might like. So for $35 Canadian, you can get the Pacific Northwest Loam Grips. So this year, on a number of different occasions, I was at the trailhead and we were just getting ready to go, and someone was looking for a pump but didn't have a tire pressure gauge. A lot of people admit just give it the old squeeze test and that's sufficient and appropriate for them. And fine, who am I to say otherwise? But the Topeak D2X digital tire pressure gauge was absolutely awesome for me this year because it gave me the opportunity to experiment around a little bit in terms of trying different tire pressures. And if you don't have a precise gauge, then you're really sort of only guessing. With the Topeak D2X, it has this really nice swivel head. It is Presta and Schrader compatible. It also has a bleed down function where you can change it into a particular mode and you can read in 0.1 PSI increments. So a lot of tire pressure gauges are either full value or to a 0.5. This is to a 0.1 value. The Topeak D2X can be had here in Canada for, I believe it's $65 Canadian. Yeah, $65 Canadian. So again, really nice item at an affordable price point. Okay, moving on. Staying with the Topeak brand for a moment, this is an item that I ended up getting quite a bit of good use out of. This is the Topeak Tubi Booster X. I actually have a whole video on it already, but what this is you use a standard floor pump or a compressor of any variety to pressurize this chamber up to 200 PSI. And then with the flick of a lever, it will purge out all of its air contents really rapidly to help inflate and thus seat a tubeless tire onto the rim. And the Topeak Tubi Booster X retails for $129 Canadian, but can be readily and easily found for $79 Canadian on sale. So if you can get it for $79 Canadian or similarly, then I think you're doing really, really well. And from a value perspective in terms of how significant this can be in terms of being able to install and reseat tires relative to the actual cost, I think this is a great product. Turning our attention over here is the Petey's Cleaning Product Kit. Now, Petey's does offer a few different versions and I'm featuring and showcasing even more than that. It comes with a number of different tools, although I believe one of them in here I had to purchase separately. I can appreciate that for a lot of people, they might be more inclined to just power wash their bike and, slap some chain lubricant on it every once in a while and call it a day. But let's be honest, these are really expensive bikes, a really big investment. And thus I think a cleaning kit like this with the degreaser and the loam foam and the tools would likely be the kind of item that maybe somebody wouldn't purchase for themselves, at least not to such an extent, but would 100% appreciate what this will do and represent in terms of just simply taking care of their investment. So the Petey's Bicycle Cleaning Kit is available for $129 Canadian, same price as our last item. However, you can also go above and beyond by getting some of, maybe the more premium lubricants or the lubricants in larger sizes and volumes, maybe some assembly compounds and greases, or the extra tools or additional loam foam. In fact, I have a bottle of concentrate just out of camera frame right now. Oh, and just like the Whole Shot Biofabric, you can expect everything here to be biodegradable or readily biodegradable. And I can't remember if I mentioned, but this plastic toolbox is also made from recycled plastic. How awesome is that? Coming in at $149, our next item, or gift idea rather, is this. This is the SRAM Pro Bleed Kit. And the SRAM, how many milliliters is this? About 120, I'd say. Yeah, 120 milliliters of the DOT brake fluid. Pro tip, keep this plastic packaging because you can see the little drops that got on the outside have already bleached the color of that label. Nevertheless, I think gifts are an excellent time to make good investments, and such that the SRAM Pro Brake Bleed Kit is exactly that. compared to the non-pro kit and other kits on the market, utilizes a lot of metal on metal fasteners and couplers, some nice ergonomic touches, and it's an all-around good kit. So if the person you're shopping for has SRAM brakes, that is an important detail here, you can get them the tools to invest in the skill set themselves. And as someone who just learned to do this year, I'm kicking myself that I did not buy this kit sooner, because it's so easy to get really great results from it. I'm a big believer in investing in your own skills and knowledge, and what better way to do that than to allow someone to restore and get great performance out of their SRAM brakes. So the next item, or items, you can see are actually right here in the front. And I'm going to go ahead and pull them back so I can showcase them better. Now, quite frankly, I can't believe I'm actually featuring this in a video, because I simply assumed that everybody would know about them by now. But in my experience talking to people this past year, they aren't familiar, or they haven't actually invested in themselves. In fact, this pump and this toolkit came in so useful, not for myself, but how many people that I stopped to lend tools to. Suspension was adjusted, tires were debeaded and rebeaded and reinflated. These have seen an incredible amount of usage, both by myself and by others. And yet, very seldom do I actually see it on people's bikes. So what is this? Well, let's start here actually. This is the One-Up Components 70 milliliter pump. It's available in two configurations, but I actually recommend the smaller one. The second variant is a 100 milliliter. Now, the advantage to the 100 is that you can fit two internal components, and I'll get to that in just a second. But I don't think that it's worth the size and additional weight that you're carrying around for an item that you really are honestly only hoping to use in kind of emergent situations. With that said, I can't tell you how many times I've used this at the trailhead, because I've either gone up or down significantly in elevation or temperature, and so I end up using this actually as like a primary field pump. In the bottom, I have I believe this is a 16 gram CO2 cylinder. Yeah, 16 grams. And so this is capable of fitting in the bottom of the pump assembly. And you can go ahead and actually use the pump without actually needing to remove this. But I recommend that you go ahead and purchase the One-Up Components EDC tool. Now, what's really cool is the EDC tool comes more or less as you see it here. It has the thread-on chamber in the bottom, which in that chamber I have the optional tubeless repair. This is the bacon style strip. In the bottom, you can also use this capsule to store additional bacon strips, or maybe a $5 or $20 bill, so it never hurts to have a little bit of extra money in a pinch. At the top here though, I can simply flex this tool. We can see on the inside, there's a spot for a spare master link should you break a chain. We also have the One-Up Components tool here, which is a fully featured set. So this is the tire lever, and on here we have spoke tools as well as a chain breaker. And all of this can and does fit right back into the pump assembly. So what we can do here is just come in, attach that. Now, this is where I was talking about the two capsule for the 100, where the 100 is long enough to accommodate both of these where it would fit in, but you can see the 70 being a shorter pump won't accommodate it. But I think the storage capsule is kind of a bonus item. What you can actually do is come in here with the bacon strip tool and the multi-tool, the EDC multi-tool. Alternatively, you can just go with the single item. So last year, when I didn't have my own bike and I was doing the rental bike series, this is the configuration that I used, where I had the EDC tool and the tubeless tire repair kit ready, set to go. This year, when I got my Transition Scout, what I then did was I had the One-Up Components EDC top cap installed, and this will actually live in the steer tube of my fork right up by my handlebars, which leaves this as more of a dedicated tire service kind of tool, and the pump comes with a nice little water bottle cage clip mount. I'm kind of approaching this as a combination item. You can either, again, use this EDC tool stored in the pump, or you can later then install it in the steer tube, as I have. Now, pricing for the 70 milliliter pump, it is $84.50 Canadian. For the EDC tool, as you see here, that is $89.50 Canadian, for a total of $174 Canadian. But I'm still surprised that people are learning about this tool's existence, because I think it is so good and it really did revolutionize the multi-use bicycle tool category. One Up Components, Canadian company too, so love to support that. Staying with our good friends, One Up Components, we're gonna return to these right here. And now we already talked about the PNW Loam grips as reducing vibration. Well, the One Up Components carbon handlebars use a really unique shape. So it's round here and here. This is a 35 mil clamping surface, and this is your standard handle grips. But you can see this profile here flattens out. And the reason for that is this is intended to reduce on vibration. So as I mentioned again earlier, is that when it came to reducing hand fatigue, I view it as kind of a system. And handlebars, let's be honest, this is the type of item that people probably aren't willing or capable of just going out and trying different versions. So from my experience and what these One Up carbon handlebars are designed to do, I can't help but believe that any mountain biker would love the opportunity to see if they can reduce any hand fatigue, and this is arguably the best way to go about that. This is $199 Canadian, so there we have it. One Up carbon handlebars. Taking a look over my left shoulder here, we can see the next two items, and subscribers to the channel will be well familiar with these because I've been singing their praise, and there's a dedicated video already about them. And this is the Topeak Torque Stick Pro in the 2 to 10 and 4 to 20 Newton meters. To summarize the review video, any mountain bike is going to have specific torque recommendations for every bolt on the bike and components thereof. And so to be able to set that accurately and easily, you'll need a torque wrench. What Topeak has done here is they've given you a curated selection of bits as well as accessories to be able to just work on your bike. So torquing everything to spec is, I consider, the bare minimum in terms of bike maintenance, and Topeak has two incredible kits here. The 2 to 10, the smaller of the two, would be approximately $189 Canadian, and the 4 to 20, slightly more, at $232 Canadian. Now, unfortunately for the next item on the list, I actually don't have any to show you per se, but if you can see out of the corner of the camera, we have a brand new Maxxis Minion DHR in the Exo Plus trail casing in the Max Grip compound. That last bit's the most important because the Max Grip is a much faster wearing compound despite it having a higher level of grip performance. So any mountain biker, I'm sure, would appreciate a fresh set of Maxxis tires in that Max Grip compound. As far as pricing is concerned, each Maxxis tire is approximately $135 Canadian, so that makes $270 Canadian for both. All right, moving on. And the next item up is the Feedback Sports Ultralight bike stand. Is very, very similar to the other bike stands in the Feedback Sports catalog. It does have a simpler clamp system, which if I go ahead, let me just swing this around here, you can manually thread it in and that's going to clamp, but if you just give it kind of like 1 or 2, it will pull out to its full, and 1 or 2, and it will rapidly clamp in, and then 1, 2, tighten. This is super fast and easy to use. So when you're holding a bike with one arm and you're trying to navigate this, 1, 2, quick pull, your bike comes out, 1, 2, in you go, tighten, 1, 2, and you're all set. It's a great system. There's another one with a slightly different, more complicated apparatus here, but I think this works just fine. In fact, I really actually like the rubber overmolding here. It's super grippy, and it kind of has like more of a square profile on it, so it's easy to grab, and you get really good torque on it. So I have absolutely no complaints. The height is really good, and I find this to be very stable, on par with really any other home bike stand that I've ever used. Regular retail price here in Canada, $339, but I very easily found it on sale for $279. So really great price there. $279 for this high quality bike stand. I can appreciate that might seem like a lot of money, but gosh darn it, having used this now, I would pay $279 all day, every day to get this. This is awesome value. And last but not least on our list for gift ideas for mountain bikers, I have it with me on every single ride that I do, even if I'm going to be in an area where I believe that there's reliable cell phone connection, because what is it, Murphy's Law, if it can happen, it will happen, and thus what I'm talking about is my Garmin InReach Mini. This is a two-way satellite communicator. So in the event of an emergency, I can contact the Emergency Link Center, the ELC, by pressing this SOS button on the side, and I can relay accurate and timely information for first responders in terms of what the nature of the emergency is and how to, best coordinate those rescue efforts. It's also just a two-way messenger that you can send texts to people. So maybe you get a flat tire towards the end of your day. That's already a frustrating and time-consuming thing to deal with, but especially if you're dealing with it in, losing light, etc., then this allows you to send a message to the people waiting for you at home to say, hey, I'm running late, not to worry, this is the situation. There's different plans that come with it. The Freedom plans allow you to start and stop. So if you think that you're only going to use this at a particular time of the year, then you can start and stop that. It's a bit more expensive for those plans. But the annual plans are actually what I recommend, because the annual plans, the difference, it's about 4 months of cost savings over a 12-month period. But the nice thing about this is that when I'm driving on like a road trip or to and from the trailhead, I keep this in the center console of my vehicle, because if I, either come across a vehicle accident or I'm involved in one myself, this allows me to communicate with emergency resources just for driving down the road. And so for a lot of us mountain bikers, where mountain biking inherently takes place in the mountains, where cell phone coverage can and is unreliable, having a really good satellite communicator that with a reliable network, this one using the Iridium network stamped here on the top, and being a true two-way communicator where you can send and receive text by pairing it with your phone, this is an incredible device. For as small as it is very powerful in terms of what this can deliver you. Here in Canada, this is the Garmin InReach version 1. They have now come out with the InReach version 2. Regular MSRP is $539 Canadian for the InReach 2. However, I was readily and easily able to find that for $509 Canadian. Points to know is that the InReach version 1 that I still have versus the 2 is that the 2 uses USB-C, where the 1 is using micro USB, and the 2 is said to improve its battery performance, and it has some built-in improvements in terms of, I believe, its display. $509 Canadian is within your budget. I certainly encourage you to get the InReach Mini 2. However, I believe Garmin is still selling the version 1 out there for a significantly reduced price. In fact, I think the version 1 is still for sale for $349 Canadian. The Garmin InReach Mini emergency satellite communicator. Use it on the bike, use it in the car, use it wherever. So that wraps up our special holiday edition video. I hope that this video has given you some ideas if you are the kind of person that would like to shop for a mountain biker in your family. In the meanwhile, thank you very much for watching. Happy holidays. You take care, and bye for now.